Hello, my name is Peter Hollitzer. I am the development manager of the Universal Schema. The term Universal Schema is not a common term, so I will briefly explain the meaning of the term Universal Schema. The Universal Schema is a minimal but comprehensive mental model. The importance of this mental model lies in the possibility of creating knowledge connections in our consciousness, and thus promoting an understanding of the connection between phenomena. Phenomena are something we observe or perceive. We can observe behaviors, we perceive feelings. We observe that living beings eat food. We are happy to receive a compliment. The great surprise of the Universal Schema is the realization that we can bring the multi-layered and complex phenomena that we observe in our world into a schematic, almost banal representation that leads to an explanation of the phenomena. I promise you that using the Universal Schema is super easy and that you don't need any prior knowledge to use the Universal Schema. To give you an idea of how easy it is to use the Universal Schema, I have prepared a presentation with some examples, and I will also introduce you to a thinking aid that can help you organize your thoughts. I'll start with a simple example. I represent the context of knowledge about the property that living beings absorb food using the Universal Schema. I assigned living things to structure because living things produce processes. One process that living things produce is food intake. That's why I assigned food intake to the process. I assigned the reason why living beings need to eat food to the function. It is to build and maintain your body. We know that living things die without food. The basic condition, i.e. the prerequisite for food intake, is that there is enough food available. That was the first simple example. We can just as easily represent and explain everything we know or observe using the Universal Schema. I'll show you another simple example. By car, for example, we can drive a car to transport people and objects from one place to another place individually. The car needs fuel to be able to drive. In order to structure our thinking and make us aware of knowledge connections in order to be able to understand them better, a thinking aid can be used to organize and improve the thinking process. The words power, death, because, so that, in order to, therefore, for that reason, because of, if only are initial words. Initial words are triggers or stimulus words that are cognitive, i.e., create mental images in order to trigger certain thought processes. Activating boardroom images can help our brains process information better. Living things reproduce to preserve their species. This is why living things reproduce. Sexual reproduction is only possible between female and male creatures. A group of 10th grade students, the class had the task of giving a talk and presentation on the topic of Pablo Escobar, the people's world or criminals. To do this, the students used the Universal Scheme. I'll show you the slides, Pablo Escobar as a people's world and Pablo Escobar as a criminal, once without thinking aids and once with thinking aids, to give you an idea of how you can easily represent and explain knowledge connections using the Universal Schema. As a people, Pablo Escobar donated money to schools and hospitals. The social commitment served to justify the drug trade and to gain the trust and sympathy of the people. The framework for Pablo Escobar to emerge as a people's world is a society with little state infrastructure. As a criminal, Pablo Escobar committed criminal acts such as drug trafficking, corruption, theft, kidnapping, and murder. These criminal acts allowed Pablo Escobar to live in luxury, consolidate his power, and gain political say through corruption. The conditions that, according to the students, made Pablo Escobar a criminal are a poor childhood, the social environment, and injustice in society. The creation of the world can also be represented and explained using the Universal Schema. There is a special feature here. There will always be a point at which we no longer have any information about how the world came to be. Then faith begins. A possible idea about the origin of the world can be represented using the Universal Schema as follows. Energy associated with the structure creates the Big Bang process. The Big Bang created space and time. The question of how the world came into being cannot be answered conclusively due to a lack of information about the framework conditions that created this connection. I will now show you how the Schrödinger's cat thought experiment can be represented and explained using the Universal Schema. The framework conditions are current, i.e., clearly defined, limited possibilities in the closed steel chamber. We don't know what happens in the vault. The situation is limited to 1 hour. The steel chamber in which the cat is located, along with the infernal machine, is assigned to the structure. The function is a psi function. The psi function is the list of possible predictions. The elements of this list result from the formally possible properties of the objects that are in a certain state at a certain time. The objects can be assigned to the structure or the framework conditions. Here the two objects of the structure are assigned, the radioactive substance and the cat. The properties of these objects are, one of the atoms of the radioactive substance decays over the course of an hour, or it does not decay. The cat is either dead or alive. A process is assigned to a finite period of time in which something happens. Since the steel chamber is closed, we cannot observe the processes that happen in the steel chamber. In the last example, I will show you how you can use the Universal Schema for self-reflection. I can represent and explain myself using the Universal Schema for the purpose of self-reflection. In a self-reflection, for example, I can assign myself to the aspect of structure or the aspect of framework conditions. If I classify myself as structural, I can ask myself the following question. Which general conditions influence my life? For example, my biography, my partnership and family, my circle of friends, or my professional situation. Which of my actions influence me positively? Which of my actions affect me negatively? Why do I repeat actions that are not good for me? What opportunities arise from my actions? If I assign myself to the aspect of the framework conditions and assign a person close to me to the aspect of structure, the following questions may arise. How does this person behave towards me? What are the reasons for this behavior? What possibilities does this behavior create for our relationship? What positive or negative behaviors do I exhibit and influence the behavior of someone close to me? The examples have shown you how easy it is to use the Universal Schema and describe and explain the world as you see and understand it. You can find more information about the Universal Schema on X under the hashtag Universal Schema. Detailed instructions for the Universal Scheme can be found on the website www.universalschema.info. The Universal Scheme is in the introductory phase. New information will be published here on the X account AdSync model under the hashtag Universal Schema. If you would like to be informed about further developments regarding the Universal Scheme, please follow this X account. Thank you, and good luck with the Universal Scheme.